So, this week we are looking at continuing or wrapping up our theme for the month, which is people you should know. And I thought it'd be kind of fun. I was looking ahead. I was like, oh, this is Volunteer Appreciation Week. That seems cool. Why don't we, instead of me telling you the history of a person or a people that you should know about, why don't we appreciate some volunteers by having them share their expertise with us? I'll show them a bunch of images and we'll see what they can figure out. And I think it'd be kind of a fun activity. I even kind of come up with this way to gamify it a little bit, which I think will be fun. As sometimes happens, though, my ambition was a little higher than I had time and the ability to do. So while I kind of envisioned initially having maybe two or three people kind of competing against each other, um, turns out that that's harder to do. So I decided to scale it back a little bit, and we're just going to have one of our volunteers come in, and that's going to be Bob Becker. In a couple minutes, he's going to sit down. If you don't know Bob, he's been active in the community for many, many years. He has been volunteering here, and you know, through his career as a photographer and you know, doing various work for different companies and organizations, he's really knowledgeable about the history of this area, to the point where, you know, I can often show him a picture and he'll be able to tell me who the person is, and often he'll be able to then also then go on about a story about them or about the picture being taken. Sometimes he'll know that. It's pretty cool. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that and have this opportunity to let Bob show off a little bit. Um, I guess just to give some explanation about how this is going to work, since I don't want to necessarily have to, I don't know how the communication with Bob is going to go to explain the rules. So I'm just going to cut probably to getting right into it. But it's going to look like this. So right now, I have a screen right here that's pointed, a second monitor that's pointed towards the seat where he's going to sit down. And it looks like this, more or less. So once he sits down, I'm going to reveal the categories. So we have 16 pictures that I have found. I think he's got a shot at getting all of them. Well, we'll see. And I've grouped them into four categories. So we'll have him run down the board, Jeopardy style, and we'll see how well he does. Now, of course, he's not playing against another volunteer, but he is playing against you, the audience. If you want to, please feel free to play at home. So you can pause, see if you can figure out who they are, and then we'll see how well you do. If you do want to compete, and please do, just in the interest of full disclosure, it might be tough. Bob is going to get most of these, I think, because I kind of decided to just choose pictures that appear in this. Oh, there we go. Forever in Focus, which is a book that Bob Becker and Bob Geisel put together back in 1999. And it's a great book. It has basically the history of the Wausau area through the companies and organizations using historic photographs, and it's pretty cool. Granted, it was published 25 years ago, so, and I've thrown some curveballs in here. We'll see how Bob does. But just so you know what you're getting into, I think he'll be good at this. Maybe you will be as well. So I guess there's nothing I think left to say except to just jump in and say, why don't you pick a category, Bob?
Okay, I'll take who's in charge for 200.
200. All right.
Oh, wow. I know this photograph very well. Not that I took it. This photograph was taken west of Phoenix, Arizona at the International Harvester Drought Proving Grounds. The people in this photo are Ed Drott on the left and John Drott. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. It's Ed Drott Jr. on the left, Ed Drott Sr. in the middle, and John Drott on the right. And at this particular time was when they had developed the 4-in-1 bucket, which was a very versatile bucket that was used on the front of a dozer. And they sold the rights for at first for several years. It's one of the attachments that really laid a lot of great groundwork for Drott Manufacturing Company, because they were the sole provider of that piece of equipment for literally thousands of dozers that International Harvester made. So um, this is them at a demonstration at the International Harvester Draught Proving Grounds, and they were in attendance along with bringing customers from and distributors from all over the country. That's what that is.
Yeah, absolutely. So where'd you next?
Okay, All in the Family. I'm going to go big for 300.
300. All right.
This is the Stone family. Bud Stone, uh, who became very much involved with the Morton and Stone Lumber Company. Um, his son on the left took over the business. The Morton's and Stone Lumber Company's roots go all the way back to the late 1800s as a sawmill on the Wisconsin River, actually probably very near the Bridge Street Bridge. And at some point in the 20s or so, and Ben, you probably know this by heart, but they attained, got that piece of property which is the corner of First Avenue and Bridge Street, and then they moved their sawmill there. And later, they added a gas station. Then in the 30s, and that operated like for 20 years. That gas station, until it was converted to just a showroom for the lumbering products that they were selling, windows and doors and other building supplies. Operated it until Bridge Street was widened, when the gas station was eventually raised, and now eventually that corner was sold off and now converted to CVS,
Or CVS, yeah.
CVS drugstore. That's the corner it's on. That's where Mortenson Stone Lumber was.
Yeah. All right again.
Hey, I'm 2 for 2.
2 for 2, yeah. Where do you want to go next?
How about Don't Forget the Ladies for 400?
400.
Going in all the way.
I don't know why I expected you to start easy and work your way in, but
No,
no.
I'm pumped here. I'm gonna go for it. Oh wow, that is Ruby Haller. Ruby was married to Jack Haller, who was the vice president of engineering at Murray Machinery, and I knew them very well. Ruby knew Bob Geisel quite well, and in the work that we did, she was always available to be a model whenever he needed someone, and there were some others too, but Ruby modeled for several different projects that were being done. This particular one goes all the way back to Curtis Millwork. Now, I didn't take this photo, but this is before my time, but Curtis Millwork was a huge woodworking factory of making several different types of products, from windows to desks to office furniture. And this particular photo is Ruby standing there with that umbrella, looking so great, and holding a Curtis catalog. That's what that's all about.
Sure is. All right.
How about multimedia for 200? Wow, that's a great portrait there of Dick Dudley. Um, Dick Dudley, obviously, as most people know and remember him, ran Channel 7, WSAU, and was really the powerhouse behind what became Forward Communications, owning several television stations and radio stations around the country. But here in Wausau, he was obviously best known as the president of Forward Communications and Channel 7. Um, and later on, Dick uh, sold much of his interest in the television and media business, and some of that wealth turned into what is today the Dudley Building on First Street and Scott Street.
Yeah.
So far, so
Familiar
good.
ones. I think there may be one or two that trip you up. So
Okay.
we'll see.
Okay, I hope that they're going to get tough. Um, don't forget the ladies for 100. Oh, wow, that's Carolyn Mark. Again, um, married to Bill Mark, who was an industrialist and had ownership and lots of interest in some pretty mega-sized corporations. She donated a lot of her wealth to many, many causes here in Wausau. The Boys and Girls Club is a good example of that, and many others. So, but that's Carolyn Mark.
Yeah.
Who's in charge? 300. Dan O'Connor. Dan came to Wausau to become the president of the First American National Bank. It was at a time when it was already converted to or part of what was known as the Central Wisconsin Bank Shares, which was actually several other banks also. But Dan was the president of the First American National Bank.
But yeah, that's Dan.
All in the Family for 100. Wow, there's another group of guys that I knew very well. That's the Schutte brothers. Earl left, Marv in the center, and Cliff on the right. And they all participated quite heavily in what Wausau Homes became. Earl pretty much was the lumberman, the sawmill guy out on their dairy farm with Cliff. And Marv went off to college, and over the next several years, they had started Schutte Builders, which was located on 17th Avenue, right across from where Colby and Colby is today. And it was a very successful building supply store. But they continued to build homes, and they were building box homes that were like 24 by 48 feet, and they would literally move the houses to a site. And Clifford, who was more of a metal guy or a steel guy, he basically started designing and putting together a hauler that they could actually haul these houses to their final destination. So, but they were complete homes. They were still 24 by 48 feet or so. And when Marv came back from college in about 1958, he was the one who, according to the story, which is recorded somewhere, written somewhere, he said, "Let's make something out of this place." And it sort of was the uh, got them thinking about how they could build a lot more homes, and this is when the panelized concept came about. When Earl and Marv said, "Let's take this house apart and haul it to where it's got to go in pieces." So about 1959, they started a company called Housing Service Company, and that was the first panelized home that was built, um, where they took each panel, put it in a truck, and hauled it to the site and put it together on the job site. So that was 1959. We actually have a photo of that first home. The very first home was actually built in Rothschild. The second home is up near the water tower above Marathon Park. So that was 1959, 1960, and they located they put a factory together that was an old Anderson Brothers memorial place up on Cherry Street, and that was their first factory for until about 1976, I think, when they built the plant that the company continues to operate out of today. Don't forget the ladies for 200.
Remember the right order here.
County Concrete. This is Carol, or is it Carolyn? Um, and why can't I think of the last name? Should be, yeah. But Carolyn was part of the family. John and Carol. Carolyn?
I think it's Carolyn. Yeah,
Carolyn.
and Sonntag would be the
Ah,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll count it. You knew the family just
Okay,
doesn't.
no, how come I couldn't think of that? Shame on me. I was batting 1,000. Now I'm down. Carolyn Sonnentag. John and Carolyn Sonnentag. I'm not sure if they founded what became County Concrete, but very early on, they had developed and continued to grow the company. This photo right here is actually Carolyn when I think she was pretty much running Wassa Concrete, which was one of the companies that they bought. And one of the reasons they grew so enormous as they have is that they acquired many, many concrete manufacturers around the Midwest and even beyond. So, but I believe this photo was taken at Wassa Concrete, one of the companies they bought, on the corner of at the end of 3rd Street. Because I'm almost positive that she pretty much took charge of that part of their acquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carolyn Sonnentag. She's in here too, that same photo. How about, don't forget the ladies for 300.
Right.
Uh-oh. Oh, wait. You know, I don't know names here, but I know who that is by what she did. She was the director of the YWCA.
But yeah, so this is
This
Janet Newman.
Janet Newman. So this photo was taken sometime later.
Yeah, I think
This,
90,
yeah,
early 90s probably.
yeah, because this is
Mid
this
90s.
that that photo was probably taken in 99 in 98
Mhm.
because this we that was during the time there were some parts of the book that we didn't have pictures of people, and Bob and I went out and shot
Sure, yeah.
pictures of certain
Kind of fill
people.
in the gaps a
Yeah,
little bit, yeah.
yeah.
All right, getting towards the
Oh,
end here.
okay.
Where do you want to go next?
All in the Family for 400.
400. You don't get faces here, but it might be a familiar picture.
Yeah, this photo is it would be connected to the Regine family. Not that they lived there, but they built that home. And this is what John Regine started out doing, was building homes. Um, they continued to grow the company, and eventually were building large commercial buildings. A couple of those are right. One of those buildings is right next door here. The Regines built the Methodist Church.
Oh, really?
Probably one of the bigger, uh, one of the first large projects that he built. Probably the biggest project that Regine ever built was the Riverview Towers on Grand Avenue. Um, and so but that's that's the beginning of the Regine company right there, is building homes.
Yeah, I think the caption for this was Gene and Jerry were getting their first home. So that's right there at the beginning.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, multimedia for 300. um, that is John Sturdivant, whose family and he uh, founded and ran the Record Herald here in Wausau. Um, it operated as an independent newspaper. I believe the first Gannett was when it was sold.
Yep.
Up until then, it was a local newspaper. I guess one of the other significant parts of, they were also a partner in developing Channel 7, as were smaller other investors, being the Merrill newspaper and the Wisconsin Rapids newspaper.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure, but that is
Yep, it's J.C. or John Sturdivant.
yeah, John Sturdivant, Camp Sturdivant, all connected to the family.
Yeah.
The YMCA camp.
Mm-hmm.
Multimedia for 100.
So this one you should definitely be getting. I would imagine.
Oh wow, that's very neat. That's a classic photo of Bob Geisel. Bob Geisel grew up in Wausau. In 1965, I was fortunate enough to go to work with him. Uh, didn't know a thing about what was going on there, but I just thought it was as neat as anything could be, is to go take pictures and make movies and make a living. So I started working with Bob in 1965, and I don't know where this photo was taken. Well, it looks like it was taken at a paper mill. I see logs in the background, but I'm very familiar with this photo. That is a 4x5 camera, film camera. The film was 4x5 inches, and there were two pieces of film in a holder, and you slid it in the back of the camera, and you took a photo. You flipped it over and you took another photo, and that was a very slow process. Today you could probably shoot 50 photos with a lot of other cameras by the time you shot two with that one. So, but Bob and I produced a book in 1999 called Forever in Focus, which was the culmination of all of his years as in business and mine up until 99, although we continued totally 54 years. But the book that we put together was published in 1999.
My notes say that this was Connor Forest Industries is what he was shooting for.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Last couple here.
All in the Family for 200. Oh, this is the Rosemurgy family, John Rosemurgy and all of his children and wife. Obviously, their name was synonymous with the Ford dealership here in Wausau, starting in the 1930s, I believe. And I could be wrong about that.
But the dates or the family?
No, when it started.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure about specifically, but it is the Rosemurgy family.
It's in here.
Yep.
So, anyways, a rich history of their time here in of the Rosemurgy dealership. Ran it for at least 2 generations.
Yep. All right.
Who's in charge for 400? That photo is in the book, but I think it's from one of those fun pages. It's not from a company or a store, is it?
I genuinely just wanted to see if I could trip you up. This is simply labeled Candyman, so I actually don't know who this person was, but
That is Alfred Kiefer, and he ran a candy store that was actually on 3rd Street. It was located somewhere between, I would say, the 600 block or so. That's what that is.
yeah. Again, I just was like, all right, who could I throw in here that you might not? Yeah, I kind of figured you'd be able to tell me who he was at least. Yeah. All right, that brings us to the last.
Multimedia for 400. That is Dan's Story.
Mm-hmm.
Dan's Story started a print shop in Wausau. I'm not exactly sure where it was, but I think it was on North 3rd Street somewhere, near the ballpark. And eventually it was, he sold it to Carl Zabel in probably the early 60s or so. And the Zabels ran it for a lot of years until it was sold to Ron Westgate. And Marathon Press was sort of the premier printing company here in Wausau for many, many decades. It was eventually, the history of the company goes to, they built a new facility on the west side, in the West Industrial Park. And then at some point, Randy Westgate sold the company, and things changed from there to it being out of existence now as Marathon Press. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the full list there. I don't know if you caught, but there's a through line here, which is all of those pictures are actually I took from your book.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously a lot of familiar
I
ones there.
was I kind of gathered that, and you
Yeah,
sort of kind of alluded to it when we were talking. So
yeah,
no, that was fun. That's a
yeah.
neat idea, Ben.
Well, it's fun
I,
to.
I, I, I would do 10 of those.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to do 10 more.
Well, maybe we'll
Just
have to do it again sometime.
yeah,
This is a
yeah.
fun concept. Awesome. Well, thanks, Bob.
You're very welcome.
So there you go. That's the program this afternoon. Thanks for watching. And thanks again to Bob for being game throughout all of this. Good sport as always, and always had some interesting things. Hopefully you enjoyed. I know Bob was always going to have some good insights, and he didn't disappoint. Oh, actually, I guess before we get away from this, I should probably point out that I didn't have any inkling of this until after I had finished and started editing this together. That it turns out I actually skipped one of the people. I don't know. At some point, I must have double clicked, or I don't know. I had a complicated setup that was. I was surprised it worked as well as it did. You could probably hear me clicking up a storm if I haven't edited those out already. But anyway, at some point, I included the 100 and 200 level of who's in charge without actually showing the 100 level, which is this guy. I'll give you a chance. Bob didn't get the chance to see this one, so maybe this is your chance to make up some points here. Give you a moment. So this is Fred Zimmerman. Zimmerman was the Zimmer part of that becomes Zim Pro. He's part of the founding of that company, which did wastewater treatment and a bunch of other stuff that maybe is harder for the public to wrap your head around because we don't really see that sort of project being created. But it's certainly an important community company for many generations of people here, and did some pretty cool stuff. So anyway, that's Fred. I thought Bob would probably know him pretty easily. He's kind of a face that, well, I don't know. I don't know if he's actually 100 level in retrospect, but it doesn't matter because I forgot to include him. Whoops. But now you've seen him, and I've done my diligence. I don't know. Yeah. Said at the beginning, I'm going to say it again. Thank you again to all our volunteers. It never hurts to say it again. We do really appreciate everybody who volunteers, like Bob and all of the other people, whether it's in our library or helping us to identify photographs, like Bob is often wanted to do, or helping with our events or any of the other opportunities. We really do appreciate it. It makes it possible for us to do what we are doing. And of course, all of the cool, intelligent, attractive people volunteer at the Historical Society. But there's also a lot of really other important causes and organizations that are run off volunteer work too in our community. And, that's really important as well. So if you volunteer with us, awesome. There's other people out there too. Thank you for that too, right? And if you're not volunteering already, why aren't you volunteering? You should do that. It's a great opportunity to get out of the rut, meet new people, and help out and do good things in the community. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer and don't know where to start, I'll put a link in the description for the Wausau area United Way, which is always a great place to check to see what opportunities are out there, what people need, and see if that's something you'd be interested in helping with. So, take a look. In the meantime, I think that probably is good for today. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week as we move into a new month. May is typically, and it is going to be this time, Historic Preservation Month. So we're going to be looking at some stories related to that. I think we have some good stuff lined up, but you'll have to tune back in next time to find out all about that. But for now, have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for some more History Chats.
Let's see where do I pick up the check? 400, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14.
Well, I notice there's not actually units of what currency this might be in.
Oh,
so
shoot. No,
we'll have to figure out the conversion rate.
Here,
but,
I thought this was dollars. I wouldn't have been so eager to come here if I
Sorry, we'll try to get a sponsor. Maybe next time we can get a better cash prize
Yeah.
for you.